Okay, so you're not a socialist.
No, I'm not a socialist. I'm
Okay,
a
so
communist. That's why it says commie.
oh,
Not a
are you?
socialist.
People who call themselves socialists are actually communists, but they're too scared to say that they're communists, so they call themselves a socialist because right now that's kind of like where the cultural zeitgeist is permissible
True.
of.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we're
And-
good. Okay, I'm good on that. I'm good on that one.
mean,
I'm good. I'm ready for a Pisco to soy out for the next 5 minutes.
Hold on, let me ask, hold on, before everyone.
Aaron, you have commie chick, I think, in your bio. I don't know if that's serious or not. So I don't like. Are you a vocal socialism? We have some
No, I'm
disagreement.
not.
Okay, so you're not a socialist.
No, I'm not a socialist. I'm
Okay,
a
so-
communist. That's why it says commie.
Oh, are you? Look, I can't tell.
What's
you're
the
joking
difference? Explain to us.
I actually feel like mainstream people who call themselves socialists are actually communists, but they're too scared to say that they're communists, so they call themselves a socialist because right now that's kind of like where the cultural zeitgeist is permissible
True.
of.
Yes.
And much like the feminism thing, I think it's mostly like people not being willing to like pick up the avow themselves as a communist or whatever because they don't like the dirty affiliations that people have with it. I kind of feel the same way. Because I broadly just describe like I really am. I'm like half joking when I say like, oh, I'm a communist or whatever. It's like I'm much further left than like the vast majority of people that I'll meet. But I don't find it productive to actually label myself anything because people usually already have kind of like a rough framework of where you're coming from when you say I'm a socialist, I'm a communist, I'm a social democrat, I'm a liberal, and you end up first like
Those
once
are
you throw
all
out that
very different things. that
yeah,
you
they're
just
all
stated.
super different. They're all super different
Right.
things, but like regardless of what label you throw out, people already have like their preconceptions and like a schema in their head of like what that label entails. And so even though the label is supposed to help clarify what your positions are, I usually find that it ends up like obfuscating what it is. So to me, I usually just ask people like, you can ask me my opinion on literally any like policy or subject, and issue by issue, I'll be able to tell you because that's going to be more clarifying than just giving you a label.
Are you
Because
in
people just
favor-
project onto it whatever they want.
Are you in favor of abolishing private property?
Oh yeah, I am.
Okay,
Well,
well,
you're saying-
that's
okay.
pretty simple.
You say these things and you have this tone of voice. It's like
Yeah, you
like
can't
a
tell if
smirk.
she's
So I
serious
can't
or
tell if
not,
you're being
yeah.
sarcastic or not.
She's so serious.
I know.
No, I'm dead serious on that one. I
Okay.
am. But
And
I guess
so-
I usually would I say like, you know, to be a Marxist is to be like a strict materialist for the most part.
Mhm.
Am I doing like tenant strikes? No, I'm not. You know, am I doing any sort of like meaningful unionization? No, I'm not. The most I've actually done is like organizations with like nonpartisan like voting, getting people registered here in like Texas where I live. And then I've canvassed with DGD, like Destiny's group or whatever. And I've voted the majority, like with the exception of like Sanders, who's an independent, right? I voted for like the Democratic Party ever since I turned 18. So I feel like materially, I can say whatever I want about what's in my head about what I ideologically align with, but that what the impact that I have on the world materially is that I'm like a Democrat, you know?
Yeah, I understand. But I do think it's interesting to ask people what their ideal scenario would be.
Mhm.
So when you say you're in favor of abolishing private property, do you just mean in terms of like everything should be a co-op, or do you mean people shouldn't be able to own houses? Like, what's the line here?
No, I'm more in favor of like a transition from people just having like workers themselves having democratic control over the means of production, right? Or like more control of like, you know, the abolition of like bosses, the abolition of like capital owners in society, and that being in the hands of like workers themselves directly, and them, you know, bringing like democracy to the workplace, you know, like they're approachable, like kind of more mainstream, like Marxists and socialists, like Richard Wolff or whatever, who have like ways of explaining this much better than I can in approachable, like layman's terms about like what it means to actually like try to put these plans into actions in tangible ways that like your average American can better understand. Because like the Communist Manifesto was written for like peasant farmers, you know, 100 years ago. Like that's not really going to resonate with, you know, young urban professionals in 2023. There has to be kind of like an update to this. And most people, what they associate communism and socialism with is like the global despotism of like the USSR, right? They're going to see that as like a dirty word. So, you know, with the help of like, you know, politicians like Senator Sanders, he has kind of made like terms like democratic socialist, probably much to y'all's like chagrin, more palatable and like kind of popular terms again that aren't already like just dirty words instantly.
Well, I mean, to me, it's not a coincidence that all these communist countries, not all of them, most of them, the majority of them tend to end up in being these authoritarian states. I think that's the only way to make it work. is that you need to have this top-down control that's basically forcing all these changes.
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, like,
Okay.
if I thought that like the utopian vision of communism was going to look like the Soviet Union or the USSR, like fuck that, you know, I wouldn't be in favor of that. But there's definitely like different strains or whatever, and this gets into like boring theory shit of like those like, you know, Marxists who believe, or like Marxist Leninists proper, who believe that there like needs to be a vanguard party that kind of ushers this in. There's others that are more anarchist or whatever, something like Noam Chomsky, who does talk about like worker co-op models and ways of introducing it kind of like a bottom up way instead of this like top down way of organizing society, you know?
Yeah,
and that's
well, I mean,
more
there's
along the
nothing
strand of what
stopping-
I'm interested in, not the
Right.
former.
Well, it's weird to me because, like, with all, you know, the popularity of BreadTube and some, you know, Hassan and other BreadTubers, it's like they have the resources to, I would think, if they were really serious about this, to start a bunch of co-ops and try to get it going. And if the co-ops are successful and competitive, I mean, people would follow the model, and they don't seem to be doing any of that.
I think the issue is not some sort of like personal hypocrisy or lack of interest for doing that. I think they don't necessarily know how to go if there's a lack of like, it's not a lack of interest. It's like, how do you go about organizing a workplace like that when you are kind of like functioning as a corporation when you're a creator, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but like Hassan is so popular and Vosh and some of these other people are so big that I can guarantee you there are people in their audience that do know how to do that and would be dying for a chance to do those things.
Really? I feel like the chief,
Or you
the
could just
chief,
hook up with
like,
Richard Wolff. I'm pretty sure Hassan could hook up with Richard Wolff and they could start, you know, some bunch of co-ops around the
I mean, I'm
country.
here for it. I think that would be fucking based, because right now I feel like the joke about their communities, it's like it's a bunch of like 13-year-old LARPers who call themselves socialists and they don't even know what it means.
True,
Which may or may not be
literally
the case.
true.
So
You know
when
what?
you're saying like
Yes.
reach into their audience, it's like what, like the 15-year-old?
Okay, well, maybe that's a good point. You know what? I take it back. You are correct. I've argued with many of people from these audiences who don't even understand that, you know, socialism and Marxism was a critique of liberalism, and they really have no clue about what they're actually advocating for. So it's wild. When I tell my father-in-law, who grew up in Croatia with socialist Yugoslavia, that people like Straighterade exist, he gets super pissed.
I mean, she seems very libertarian, very individualist. None of the things you would think of as a classic communist archetype.
Am I hiding my power level, Adam?
I don't know. You tell us.
Is that what it is? Do you explain how to explain that?
Well, no, I mean, you have an individualist outlook, which I'm in favor of. I mean, you're in favor of fighting for the working class, which I'm
we
in favor
basically
of.
agree. Adam, sounds like you're a communist.
This is my contention here. You're obviously against UBI, but wouldn't UBI be just give power, negotiation power to all workers?
I'm not against UBI. I think I need more evidence. And it sounds like it's out there. I just need to go and like engage with that material or whatever, and like see more arguments to see if it's something that I would like front and center kind of like push for. But it's like right now the idea of like getting one sounds great. The only thing I worry about is like the inflation thing, which it sounds like people who are proponents of UBI have answers for that immediately. The other thing is that I don't want it to be the beginning of the gutting of the social safety net. You know, like I would want it to be
adding to the social safety net. Are you kidding me?
Right, but it would. But I fear that, like, you know, we can't ignore that, like, the GOP is coming for like Social Security.
Instead of getting Social
some people
Security,
think it'll be a replacement.
Instead of getting Social Security at 65 or 67 now, you would get Social Security at 1.
Whatever age. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just like, I don't understand. A lot of people who are in favor of the working class are reflexively against UBI when it just seems like.
My ignorance of it is definitely not a reflection of it being like a weak policy. I really just need to see like more material with it. So if you could direct me towards that, I'd be open to seeing it. Maybe by the end of this, by the end of the week, I would be like a bigger proponent of UBI than you.
When people talk about how Social Security is going to go bust, they're talking about a demographic shift. They're saying, listen, we're only going to have 5 workers for every elderly person. Well, what they don't mention is that those 5 workers are all going to control 20 robots. Like they're literally our workforce is going to be reduced in the future down to a 3-day work week. Like the human labor is on the decline. So we're going to be able to produce massively with a lot fewer workers, and we're going to have to deal with that. I really see UBI as the only way to deal with that.
Yeah, this is what you're describing, the fully automated luxury gay space communism, Adam. That's what I'm asking.
know.
Like, are you sure you're not
I
a
know.
communist in the closet?
Well, look, and I'm sure you're aware of this. The chief complaint against Marxism was he thought we would get socialism once we got a thing called superabundance. My problem is a lot of the socialists, they want to do it before you have superabundance. They think you can just create superabundance by organizing society correctly. That's not true. You need this technological component that Marx was very aware of. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that we are getting closer and closer to that superabundant situation.
Wait.
And we need to radically restructure our society to deal with it, or it's going to be it's going to be like super wealthy and people with no money. The middle class is just going to be gone.
Did you just prove Aaron right?
I know.
Marx
You're
was
sounding
aware of
based right
this?
now.
You're like, Marx
What do
was
you mean?
aware of this. So are you on board with Marx? Are you Marxist communist thing?
Well, I obviously I think Marx had some true and interesting things to say. I think that people have used those insights incorrectly to create massive
So you are the one
devastation.
true
I
communist.
agree with you.
Well,
No,
look-
because
look.
there's lots of things Mark says that Adam would disagree with. But
Yes,
Okay.
obviously.
as much as I want to
obviously.
jump on the Adam being a secret Marxist train.
But
I'm already on that train. I'm
So
staying.
Me
look,
too.
look,
I'm
look.
sold on it.
Look, if we're talking about something like superabundance, you understand it in today because we have like things like AI. Like we see robots, we see videos of robots on YouTube and stuff like that. When Stalin was talking about creating superabundance, the idea that he could do that is laughable. You got to admit. Like in some of the communist experiments, they had literally like
Yeah, they wanted full
farmers.
employment.
Well, yeah, but they had farmers
And
like
that didn't create superabundance; it created poverty and
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
the,
dev-
the
and,
idea
dev-
of standing
and
in line
devastation.
for one loaf
Yeah.
of bread. Yeah.
yeah, wasn't great.
Look, Stalin said he was going to get into the steel business. So he told all of his farmers, okay, we're in the steel business now. Melt down your plows. That's not going to create superabundance. That's going to create famine.
Right.
So
But-
it sounds like, Adam, you can be like the vanguard of the like next wave of the American Communist Party, because you're like, these young communists don't understand the concept of superabundance. Like, yeah, just correct them, and then you can lead the communist revolution. Hello. That's
Well,
why
look,
I'm already thinking you're sounding like a secret communist, a crypto
Adam
Look,
is
one.
I'm
saying,
not-
"Listen, we'll do the communist revolution once we all have Star Trek replicators. Then we'll
look,
talk about
I'm
it,
not.
okay?
Then we can
I'm
talk.
not opposed to this idea. Okay, Aaron,
I'm interested.
I'm
Like, if
interested.
this is a job
Like, if this is a
opportunity,
job
I'm thinking
opportunity, I'm
maybe,
thinking
but-
Commie
maybe.
curious. Commie curious.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just,
When it-
I
when it
just,
comes
I,
to
I,
the
I see it
communist
more. I see it
topic-
more as
Supercapitalism,
super
but-
capitalism, but
Problem with communism, Aaron, is what do you do with people who don't want to be communists? Regardless of intent, it ends in a totalitarian dystopia.
The re-education camps and the gulags are a good start, right?
Wow.
No, that's not it. I guess when people posit this question, I'm like, you could say the same thing about the capitalist system. It's like if we lived under communism, right, and somebody
Mhm.
wanted to institute capitalism, it's like, well, what about all the people that don't want to live under capitalism and want to live under communism and stuff like that? I was like, to me, it's like a silly, like it doesn't really get at anything substantial, because it's like there's always going to be opponents of like the ruling economic order, no matter what. You're never going to be able to get entire like consensus surrounding it. You know, like you could have
Mhm.
capitalism, you're going to want people who want communism. You can have communism, and then you're going to have people who want capitalism. And someone can always pipe up, but what about the people who don't want to do that thing? And it's like, I mean,
Mhm.
that's what happens when you live in a democracy, right? Is that not you try to like fulfill individual liberties and principles, but yeah, there do have to be some compromises and consensus met where you try to maximize the majority amount of people that are happy. But yeah, not everybody can be happy. There's undoubtedly people who would not like that shift, right? I know that it's very
Right.
unpopular.
Okay. Joe the Mig for $2 says, "Command is the only way communism can exist practically."
command
agree with that?
economy.
Yeah, do you agree with that, Aaron?
No, they're describing like state capitalism.
Right.
No. They should read The People's Republic of Walmart. This talks about the ways that we could incorporate financial planning into the economy without it being entirely like a command economy, and how a lot of some of the like largest corporations that we rely on globally, like Walmart, like Amazon, already do a lot of internal financial planning for them to function, and they function very well. And that why couldn't you kind of, use some of the ideas like this as like a framework for instituting it in the government,
The
as like a
problem with
framework.
that book is that Walmart, all they do is manage distribution of goods for retail, and the economy is so complicated that what they're doing, I mean, Walmart couldn't effectively manage that book paints Walmart as something that I don't think Walmart could actually even do. It's a little overambitious.
I read it years ago because I can't remember like exactly what he recommends or whatever, because I don't know if he's like necessarily saying that like Walmart, if it's like the government should try to like look to these companies to adopt the internal financial planning that they have in some of the like economic policies like in Congress and in law, or if they're saying that we should basically look to like you have an entire network set up, it just needs to be like public,
Right.
and like socialized instead. I think that may have been one of the proposals.
They would want
Right.
to replicate like Walmart.
I'm saying I can't remember if
internal
they're talking about replicating the financial planning and like having that in public, or if they're talking about the government either looking to like seize or basically make these like public resources, like make Amazon, like Amazon's perfect, but it just needs to not be privately owned.
Oh, nationalize. Oh, okay, that's
Yeah, like nationalize them basically.
That's
Well, it runs into the problem of
of Civil
the-
War.
well, no, the outsized gains thing. Like people manage companies because they are benefiting from the company, but as soon as you nationalize the company, they're no longer benefiting from the company, so their incentive to manage it well goes out the window. So
Exactly. And then you have companies who are managing for their benefit that fail to do what they're set out to do.
yes.
Walmart would be a company that started to fail, but they failed because they looked for places that they can extend to because they wanted to be everything as a seller. They looked at Amazon and were envious of that, tried to do Walmart 2-day shipping on a website, and they failed to do so. It just, I don't know.
But if
We
it were
look at
public, you could fund it, right? And like fix those stuff.
you could fund what? A company that was short-sighted and couldn't see what the market was going to want in the future and failed to jump and try to play catch up and become the giant that crushes the competition. That would
I
be
think, like, fund
Walmart
better
would be a
leadership,
horrible
you
company to just up and look at because they were like a giant for this one point in history. Do you know what I mean?
Do we think Walmart isn't already a horrible company?
Well,
Maybe, like that's my position.
they got to where they were, and it was they did good, right? They did good. They became a giant. They expanded well, but then technology advanced and they were behind. And they didn't make the right choices, I think.
I think you're right. Because I think
that's
the idea of like trying
short-sightedness
to
of
be
looking. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I think you're right that like they did institute like Walmart Plus, and it just basically tried to like copy Prime, but like I don't know if that was the direction to like try to take the company, because like you're not gonna be able to like compete with Amazon by trying, like you're just gonna be second,
Exactly. Walmart was innovative, and then they saw the markets change, and they were no longer innovative. They were playing catch up. So this is what capitalism addresses. A company like Walmart gets complacent. They start focusing on profit and they stop focusing on research and development. And then an Amazon can come up. Amazon will eventually become complacent. So I wouldn't want the government looking to nationalize any of these companies or looking to take some sort of innovation from these companies for what brought them to where they are, because where we are going, like sometimes it's not good to follow that
the
map.
race to the bottom. Yeah.
Short Fat Taco, look at that. Hey, Short Fat Taco for 5 Canadian. He says, dear
He's
Straighterade.
Canadian?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I didn't know
He's
that
a-
either.
No,
He's a
I
dirty
DM'd him.
Canuck.
I didn't even know there were otakus in Canada.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. He makes good content. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his
All right.
channel.
I'm familiar with him, but I haven't watched a video from him. I
Okay.
just know him in name only.
They're
Sorry.
very good. Though you probably wouldn't like them. But dear
Why not? Why
Straighterade.
wouldn't I like him?
I mean, he shits on communism a lot, so
He hasn't met me. That's okay.
there you go. Well, maybe you guys will talk after this.
Yeah.
He says, dear Straighterade, in a fully market socialist economy, how would a worker co-op company raise capital for expansion without it being extractive?
Sure. No, let's not get into the fucking weeds on this. All right. Let's talk to our high
dodge! What
yeah.
a dodge! Oh
I'm
my
dodging. I'm
God.
dodging.
Dodge.
Because
Listen,
I don't
you
think
set up
I
a
would talk to him.
conversation
I'll
with
talk.
him.
I'll talk short fat otaku. Oh my god,
Yeah.
individually about this stuff. But like, I will spare everybody the conversation on like the very specific and the minutia of like economic reforms that I would embrace.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you so
honestly.
much.
Okay.
Do that boring stream on his channel. None of us care.
There you
Yeah,
go.
there you
Well,
go.
there you go, Dev. Adam, please don't give people blunts.
Look, come on. It was fun. Everyone in the chat was begging.
Like, so stupid.